So again, as our students are sitting through day after day, those, it may seem like 11 classes is going to go like this, but those individual ones during hour 2.5 or pushing on 3, how do we keep it moving? Well, Medina's rules here. People don't pay attention to the boring stuff. It's that emotional arousal. I loved when one of our students up here said, God, that one instructor was just buzzed. She was on all the time, and you felt it. And so, again, how do we create that? The research there does show that the audience checks out after about 10 minutes, but you can keep grabbing them on back and grabbing them back with, if it's the narrative, it's creating events that are rich in emotion. They are interesting. I can feel it. I can. And, we don't want to create classes where that student, where if I sit in the back, she's not going to call on me. I'll just act like I'm busy. We want them involved. And so what I'd like to do here, remember in one of the first slides this morning, we talked about what does the research say about condensed and accelerated learning. And one of the things it said is, how do you create those collaborative communities that where folks feel comfortable in that class? And we all know this from our experiences, but I put some bullets up just to remind us of what the literature says, that it's those expectations and trust. It's making this real. And boy, listening to the courses that you're offering this summer in our introductions, I see real all over the place. Being able to model it, giving those examples, practice it, shared responsibility, and again, making sure that one sitting there thinking she's going to call on somebody else is indeed involved in this. Grounding activities, that's that kind of check-in. It brings people, whoever they are, to be right here. It asks them to focus, to be present. And this is, I recommend, and the research says, this is not just done as a hello activity like we did this morning. We did this grounding activity. That's why that was modeled. How do we make introductions? But it's not just something that gets done in the first 5 minutes on day 1. It certainly can be coming back. And again, my guess is that many of you indeed do those kinds of activities. So what we're going to do here is just give an idea of an activity. And again, it could be from your experience. It could be something stolen from a book. That's why they're there. Could be something you just kind of thought up today as this conversation has progressed. The same thing, too, in terms of helping with pre-reading and helping with activities, give some real thought as you're doing it to those, what I call the thought-provoking prompts. How often is this prompt come out of our mouth? So what do you think? Agree? Disagree? What do you, and I have to tell you, as a teacher educator, I spent a lot of time out in public schools. Oh, I see the kids just falling asleep in their chairs and the teacher saying, agree or disagree? And then the teacher, there's blank faces, basically repeats it. So, agree or disagree? Like raises the intonation of the voice. Instead of things like, some words again from Bloom, but why do you think he wrote this? What evidence do you believe he would reference to support his perspective? What would you say to change his mind? Again, that's higher level, that's persuasion. So again, always be thinking about the prompts that you are using. I love this one too. If I'm lucky, the same people who always answer those questions, they're going to do it again today. And you know who those are. By the end, halfway through the first class, you could peg who your answerers are in class. Whip it up. Like, for example, stump the professor. But what I've done here is organize the conversation of how to structure discussions in a class into 3 parts. Part 1, it's your basics, but they're really, really, really essential. If we're going to have discussions, what's your space look like? What can you arrange or rearrange or use outside? And so help yourself to some different spaces. Use it, mix it up, and we can do that more creatively in Maymester, I think, than any other time in the year, because it's just not available on our campus. We're too stricken. What's your group size, the length of time, modeling, those extension questions like on the earlier slide. And those timeouts, when do I need my breaks, how long, all of that. Another helpful Heloise on those discussions, Judy already said a couple, several of you did, about, Judy, I forget, it was the reporter outer or something like that. But again, think strategically. And then finally, providing the structure, the balance of voices.